Hello all. Hello, how are you? My name's Oscar. I'm working at Unity with the Everyplay team. So how many people have heard of Everyplay before? Come on, really? Have you not seen this hat before? Okay, so you may not know it, but you've missed out. I'm quite well known. I travel around the world. I talk about game design, discovery, monetization because of Everyplay. And Everyplay was it's an SDK, free SDK that Unity acquired in March. So I was part of the company that was acquired. And it's all about finding ways to share those magic moments of play that your players do with their friends. And we'll record your game for you and find all the techniques, all the things you need to share it with other players. That's what we do. So, and I got a great job because I've just literally run from the yellow room talking about habit-forming game design. And I'm here now, and I'm going to do something I've never done before. I've been on stage hundreds of times, thousands of times possibly, and I have never done a tech demo. You will be the first victim, sorry, the first participants in me doing a tech demo. Now, okay, saying tech is a little bit over egging it. However, please bear with me. How many coders in the room? Coders? Coders, okay, good. How many scripters? There's a difference. You designers? Do you make tea? Who's making games? Hands up if you're a part of a team making games. Great. Okay, so we're in the right conference. We are developers. We are developers. So I make games in the spare time as well. So I have some spare time sometimes, very rarely. So I'm going to try and tell you the why and the how of Everyplay in the next half hour or so, and somehow in the meantime show you how little coding I understand, and yet I will give you a demo of a game what I made with lots of help, which has got Everyplay in it. So you'll see what it's all about. So discovery matters. We are in the best of times and the worst of times of game development right now. You are so lucky to be making games in an era where Unity exists. I know because I'm old, and I remember before Unity. It was painful, and now even I can do it. And basically what's happened is that we've simply changed how easy it is to make effects and visualization, and game experiences are now part of a designer and an artist's purview. We can make games now. But we're not the only ones doing it. There's, about 1,000 apps a day, something like that. Was it 1,000? I forget the stats. Someone told me there's 1,000 apps a day, about 300 of which are games. Anyone got any better data than that? Please tell me. But essentially, there are millions of apps out there, and about a third of them are games. But games are making about 80% of the revenue on the app stores. So I hear. Again, don't believe any of my stats. I pick them up all over the place, and I get confused. But it's not far off the picture. We have an infinite supply of games in the sense that there are now more games, more good games, than I could possibly play in my lifetime. Why are you making games? It's been done. Everyone's done it. Well, it's because we all have our own vision to bring. We all have our tastes. We all have our kind of creative spark. And it's an amazing place to be. So I want to find ways of helping you get your game found. Now, I could talk about advertising. We do an advertising solution, but this isn't about that. This is about letting your game speak for itself. It's about letting the moments of play that players love in your game become the way they share and communicate about the games they love. So the way we do that is we're going to record the game. And we're going to create a mechanism that lets them show this off to other people because, as we all know, sharing is caring. If we really care about a game, a replay moment is an incredibly personal thing. I did this, watch me, Ma, or whatever. Look at what I did in this game. Look at the great outfit I bought. Look at all these great things that I've done. We need this moment to share. So what do? So I am a very, very beginning coder. In fact, I wrote an article on this in Developer about a month ago where I write about learning to code. So I'm still very, very new to this. How many people have used the Space Shooter tutorial before? Anyone? Classic Unity tutorial, really good. Helped me enormously understand what to do. So I'm going to use that. In fact, just to show I'm not faking it, here it is. the tutorial, and here's all the code and all this other stuff. So I've done this. I've really done this. So what we're going to try and do is we're going to try and put Everyplay in. And how do we do that? Well, there's a thing called the asset store you may have heard of. Go on, I've just got to see. Has anyone not used the asset store? Good, good. That's the right answer. Don't worry, if you haven't, talk to me later. I'll explain what you've been missing out on. So, well, let's do that. So, OK, so I'm going to go Window, Asset Store, and see if the internet works in here. Dun, 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 dun. The asset store will load up, and eventually I will find Everyplay like this. This is why I don't rely on the internet. OK, that's good. So I get from the asset store. I will come back to that to show it works when it eventually connects. But I go to the asset store and I select it. It's free. It's easy. This is the way to do it in Unity. If you weren't using Unity, and of course, why wouldn't you? You can actually access it on other platforms as well. Apparently, they exist. We have an open SDK which actually works on any mobile platform. So we've got our asset store, and we import the package, and we import the package into our. Oh, here we go. It's worked. So I select Everyplay. So, you know, Everyplay. He says, can't type today. Select Everyplay, and we're in. And then I can select Everyplay itself because I found it. And then I can import it. So I just go to my. Right, there's an update there. OK, I'll do that later. I'm not going to do an update in the middle of a demo. That would be a very bad idea. But here we go. It's in my collection of asset stores, and I can import it, which I won't actually do because I've already done it, but I will show you how easy it is. He says, oh, that's interesting. You can't see my other screen. Give me 2 seconds, and I will sort that out. Just the joy of having the right settings on your display. Aha, can you see it now? Right. Importing, which I won't do, but you can see. So having done that, let's come out of that and do. I'm going to take 2 seconds just to streamline this experience so that you don't have to worry. Bah, we're back to the presentation. OK, so having done that, I'm going to go to the Everyplay website. It'll actually prompt me to say, go to the website and sign up. OK, so we're going to go do that. I've saved you time. I happen to have done it. When you do it, you'll be asked for your game credentials. You say what your game is, what the name of it is, what the name of your company is. You sign up. Nice and easy. You'll then get back this data. Client ID, secret ID, and redirect URL. You'll get that information. You're going to need that because we're going to plug it in to the Everyplay inspector. So we're now going to take the easy route to implementing Everyplay. I'm going to use presets because it's much easier. I'm going to use the existing code that's there. I'm not going to spend too much time because I'm a beginning coder. I don't want to do all the finessing. We'll talk about some of the finessing later and how you can easily find out how to do it. But in doing it, we're going to go like this. So I'm going to go to Unity. I've already imported the asset store. What I'm going to do is you'll see in here, there's a whole bunch of Everyplay assets and scripts and things like that. So I know I can call it within my script for my game. And if you were familiar with the tutorial, that you'll know that there's this game controller script here, which I happen to have already opened. So here's the game controller script. So if I want to make Everyplay work, now, bear in mind, I'm doing it here on the basis that it might be outputted to either iOS or Android. So because of Android has got a whole bunch of questions about, we have to be very careful about how Android works to make sure that it's supported and we choose the right codecs and all that kind of stuff. So what we do is we initiate. We initialize. We have to do that in awake. So we go void awake, Everyplay initialize. OK? So that's going to set up, when the application starts, when the game starts, that's just going to set it up ready to go. It's pretty easy. I think I can kind of understand that. And then, of course, we actually have to trigger the process of it actually doing some recording. So what do? Well, actually, all we need to do here is work out where in the flow of the game does the actual gameplay start, and we write everyplay dot start recording, brackets, semicolon. It is actually that simple. So we do that, and that's it. Not quite it. There's a few other little bits. So, for example, we have to stop it recording. And, oh, gone too far. So we have to stop it recording. And so to do that, where are we? Yeah, game over. So I've gone, where's the game over point? Everyplay.stop recording. I know, it sounds odd. We start it, we stop it. This is hardly a tech demo, is it? I'm telling you code, but it's so simple that even I can do it. Now, I happen to have chosen, in this case, that I'm going to pop up a modal, a kind of a display unit that says, here's access to the video, here's how you share it, all this kind of stuff. I've told it to do that for me. I could do a couple of other things. So I could easily go play the last recording automatically after finishing the previous one. As you can see, I've commented that out. Really simple. As it happens between you and me, I put it in the wrong place. I put it when you die, not when the explosion happens when you've died. Because I put on it all in the same script. So that was because I was being lazy, trying to have one simple presentation. There's another script somewhere where the player controller gets blown up, and I should have put it there. But enough said. So, I mean, that's it. That really is it. So, obviously, that's me using the existing stuff that's already there. You know, I'm not doing anything special. I'm not integrating it in any particular way. I'm just deciding when to start recording and when to stop recording. And the irony is, the actual demo took me so long to make, not because of having to put the Everyplay stuff in, because I had to learn how to use touch controls. Because the original test tutorial is for an on-screen version, and I had to find a way to turn it into an iOS and Android supporting version with touch. So it took me about a week to learn how to do that on my own. I'm that bad. I'm really no good as a coder. So that's the easy route. And as I say, there's these two bits that we need to do, and these, the bit at the end that we need to do. And that's it. And obviously, you then set the application so that it will, be to the right output, the right build, so Android or iOS in this case. And I have one I've prepared earlier, just to show you that it does work. And it'll give you a good sense of how it works when I show you this working, he says, optimistically. You get to see my dog. OK, so here we go. Oh, I've actually used the new UI buttons as well. So that I had to learn that as well. So here we go. Is the audio working? Oh, there you go. Oh, I died. Let me do that again, because I want to see the explosion happened afterwards. That was my mistake. So we'll restart. Here we go. And you can see I've got my touch control working, playing away, which is kind of cool. Oh, I died again. For some reason, that didn't trigger the gameplay recording. I wonder why that was. Let's try dying again. Hey, there we go. Back to the modal. So the modal comes up. Ignore the metadata. I happen to not get round to putting metadata in yet. And when I do, it's a simple case of just going to the website and deciding which bits are, because I can put anything I like as metadata. I can put the level ID, I can put the player ID, the session ID, scores, any number of things I can put in there. But I can also choose to make some of that public, so that when they upload their videos, it can say what their score was for that level, which is quite a nice thing to help build community. But the other interesting thing is this. When we're in this display, I can just go like this and replay it, but I'm going to cheat a little bit. I'm going to actually capture my face as I'm doing it. So here I am. I'm on stage showing off this gameplay recording session working and showing how the game plays through, and oh, I've died. Now, when I play that back, I'm on stage showing off this gameplay recording session working and showing how the game plays through. That was good. I kind of like that. I can't imagine what you could do with that. And then, of course, I can share that. And I can share that on Facebook. Actually, I can't right now because I've decided to keep this private, just in case I really stuffed it up. But I can make it private, I can share it, whatever else. And when I share it, that then goes up to my page, my game page. Now, again, I've not spent time on this yet, but I'm planning to build on this demo over time. But obviously, that's going to go to my page. I get to manage my own page. I get to administer it, I get to follow up, I get to follow other people, I get to build a community using the Everyplay tools, which are all free, by the way. Did I mention that? So, as you can see, even somebody who's as incompetent as me at coding can make a game work. In fact, to be honest, this wasn't working until 10:30 yesterday. Not because I didn't get this bit working, because I don't have a Mac. I have to get my colleagues to make me a build in order to put it on there and put it onto test flight. And that took me ages to get sorted. But it's those kind of things that take time. It's not the actual kind of using this kind of stuff. It's the stuff that gets in the way of your everyday life that slows you down. Anyway, so you can roll your own. You can do a whole bunch of other things. You can decide where you want to use it. You can be really clever about it. So, for example, you could use JSON requests to take that metadata that you might put into a game, and you could take that and use it to create, say, video leaderboards inside your game, or to display the last of your friends who played this level and what they did. And that'd be quite cool, wouldn't it? Imagine if you could have a level in a game and you could see what the guys who got the top 3 scores did last time they played it and show that video off. It's all about community building, all about understanding what it is. And if you want to know how to do it, there's scripts inside the Everyplay package which has everything you need to know. If you look at the Everyplay test script, it has all of the calls that you could use to roll your own. You don't have to imagine it. You don't have to look up kind of long documentation. It's all in there. And the same thing, if you want to put Facecam, that Facecam thing I had on the bottom of the screen when I was showing off what I was doing and talking it through, you can make that happen while the game's playing. And all the scripts you need to do it are in there. They're there to be used. It's Everyplay, in this case, Everyplay Facecam test. So if you check those things out, they're all there. And you can put all sorts of things in. So we can put trigger events in that start recording. We can put, we can decide to record only the last n minutes. So if you've got a game that maybe take 4 hours of play, not very many mobile games will do that, but let's say you've got 4 hours of play, but there are achievements within that game, we could trigger a moment that says, show the modal to let someone share this last moment, because 30 seconds ago, we know you had this magic trigger moment. And we're going to show a 2-minute-long video at that point, based on what we've recorded throughout play, and only show the last 2 minutes. And you can do that with very simple controls. No more complicated than I've shown you today. Obviously, we can use a front-facing camera, and that can be incredibly... You can also take that image of the front-facing camera and put it inside the game. So there's a whole bunch of things like that. Putting your camera feed inside the game, when you can see your player's face appearing inside the game, there's some really interesting possibilities there. I've got this kind of idea of trying to make a dancing game doing that, where you could actually dance in front of the game. Anyway, we'll see if it works. I've not tried it yet, but it's interesting. And when you can get players to make their own statements based on the data that you're creating inside the game of what they do, and that becomes part of the way that they share their information, just think what that does to your gaming community. The game becomes alive. It becomes a communication channel. And the thing that we love about games is that they become a way to share experiences. And you'll be able to create magic moments. So these guys, the Skyline Skaters guys, used this idea of using high score ranking with video where video was available, so you could see what people had done. And they used that to create competitions for the community. So they gave away an iPad for people who put up the best video. And how did they guess what the best video was? Because the community site gave you likes and shares. You add that up, you know how powerful that video was as a viral force. That's pretty powerful stuff. Now, one thing I should highlight is that when you go to ship, there are a couple of things you need to check on. First thing is you need to make sure that inside the information of the game itself, he says, if I can remember where it is. Actually, I'll come back to that later when I remember. But you've got to make sure you name it sensibly. Quite a lot of people use the default naming of their app. So it's like any game at any... You get lost if you do that. You want to make sure you correctly name, correctly set up all of the details. And then when you're going live, you need to pass your your app ID from either Apple or Google back to the website on Everyplay, because otherwise you won't be able to share your videos publicly. And that's to protect you. That's to give you a sandbox in which you can keep all of those videos safe. Because we know a lot of people who've been working on experimental things. The last thing we want you to do is to accidentally see people leaking your game unless you want them to. And so that's why we have that lock at the end of it as well. So there's a whole bunch of stuff that we can do. There's a whole stuff that you can do with it. And of course, coming soon, we've got this really rich community services that are coming along. The idea of being able to make this Everyplay side exactly in keeping with your game's brands, to be able to build community chats and forums and messaging around the videos that are being shared, to be able to moderate and manage and administrate that experience, and that's all part of the community experience that we're going to be doing. Some really cool stuff. We're not quite ready to say a date yet, but it is coming very, very soon. And that's it. It is that simple. And hopefully it's made some sense. I'm very happy to take questions. Indeed, I actively encourage it, so much so, I have these very special Unity pins shipped all the way from the States you can't get here. I've actually had to beg, borrow, and steal to get these, and I've got Unity staff members who want them. So if you ask me a decent question, you can have one of these. And it could be about Everyplay, it could be about discovery, design, monetization, whatever you like. I'm here to be of help. So anyone got any questions? Go for it. Really good question. If the player is offline, what happens? So here's a badge. Oh, sorry. I've got a little throw as well as code. So unfortunately, what happens is that we rely on the connection to be able to upload the video. So the video that you last played will be stored until it's available to upload. But unfortunately, at the moment, we can only store one of them. And there's lots of reasons for doing that. It's because we're basically storing the video in the cache. What we're doing is we're taking off the GL layer all the imagery that's happening during play. That's why you see everything, and it's really, really efficient. There's no performance problems with it. But that means that we're only storing one in cache at a time. It's something I'd like to try and expand, maybe to 2 or 3, but we don't want to make it so it's locally stored, because we experimented that with lots of testing. We actually found it didn't help sharing. It actually inhibited sharing, which is odd, really. But if you make it so it's uploaded, it's a lot better in terms of the community. Question? Well, in theory. Have a badge. So, good question, and it highlights all the things you forget to say. I'm so thinking, oh my God, I'm going to remember the code. But no, what it is, reality is that obviously you're only storing what the machine itself, the device you've got, can store in storage, available storage. However, we're using the H.264 codec, which is incredibly efficient, and I forget the numbers, something like 8 meg for 5 minutes of video or something like that. I mean, maybe it's not quite that efficient, but I normally know these numbers, but they've escaped my brain at the moment. If you look on our FAQ, on the developers.everyplay.com site, it'll give you all the sort of stats for how efficient that codec is. So you can easily store 5-10 minutes worth of video without any problems. If you've got enough space, there's no restriction on having hours of video, except it would be very boring. And actually, it's interesting. We've had a lot of comments from players who want longer videos. So a lot of the Everyplay community have said that they don't want just a minute or 2. They actually want longer video. Now, I'm not sure how universal that is, but it's very interesting. The key thing I should bring up on this, though, is we're handling all of that. So we're handling not only the codec use, which makes it very efficient, we're also handling the performance to make sure that we're not impacting your game. We've got games like Dead Trigger, no performance impact whatsoever. It's essential. We can't put out our SDK unless we have no impact on gameplay. I mean, okay, there's never such thing as nothing, but we're talking about unmeasurable. I had a guy from Simitronics who put the Everyplay into One Epic Night, and he was confused because he thought he hadn't switched it on because his frame rate hadn't changed. I'm serious. He told me he couldn't understand why his frame rate, and he worked out it just was efficient. He thought he'd not switched it on. So I'm not making this stuff up. These things are deliberately designed to be as efficient as possible. Our guys in the Helsinki office, they dedicate their lives to making this work as cleanly as possible because we're all basically obsessive gamers. The last thing we want is for terrible videos because our SDKs got in the way. So we do our utmost to make sure we get the best experience. But then, of course, the video is uploaded. We don't want the video to be too large because of the costs of uploading and all that kind of stuff for the player. And also, we're going to have to store this stuff. And we do all the storage. So we host, moderate, and manage all that community experience for you as part of our free service. Now, obviously, the reason we do it is because we can then produce advertising around that site. But that doesn't have, we're not going to be in your face. This is more like YouTube than anything else. We're not, in fact, we're less aggressive than YouTube, I would argue, in the frequency of adverts that we put up. So, the whole point of our experience is we're creating a space that gamers love to share the moments of play that they love. And really, that's what it's about. Does that answer? Cool. Any more questions? Go on. You're not getting a second badge. Yeah. That's correct. So the question was for the camera. We're talking about Android and iOS. Android and iOS. What about Windows Phone? We currently don't support Windows Phone on Everyplay. It is absolutely on our agenda to do so. I just don't have a date for when. And actually, I personally would like to see it on other platforms too. I'd like to see it on PC. I'd like to see it in other areas. It's more complicated in some of those other platforms, as I'm sure you can imagine, particularly around things like codec rights and all that kind of stuff. And we're always looking not just to expand the platforms we support, but also things like the social platforms that we're supporting as well. So we're constantly trying to evolve, because it's in our interest to make sure that Everyplay is available to the widest possible audience. But then, iOS and Android aren't bad. Not a bad place to start. Does that help? Cool. Any other questions? Have I bored you, or have I dazzled you with my coding skills? Okay, maybe not. Anyone else? In that case, I will thank you very much for coming. Thank you very much for bearing with me, and hopefully that was useful. Thanks, guys.